it's Barbara from Divine Creative Love, and I'm back again with a new tutorial for you. This one is Isaiah chapter 40, verses 28 through 31, specifically focusing on verse 29, which says, "He gives power to the weak and strength to the powerless." And then also verse 31, which begins with, "Those who trust in the Lord will find new strength." So I have this creative worship stamp set that we're going to be using, and it has those words, "The Lord gives strength to the weak," and there's also another stamp in there that I'm going to use as well. And then I've kind of experimented with some different colors. I wanted to kind of use like a dark sky color, so I chose that kind of dark blue. So the whole page took me about 45 minutes to create, so I've sped it up for you. And I started out with just that dark blue color because part of verse 28 actually mentions God being the everlasting God, the creator of all the earth. So I went for kind of a dark sky theme for this page. And I'm just using the iridescent gelatos and some water to create the background for the page. So you can see I'm just spreading it over the whole page. And it's kind of light going on with this first coat, so I am going to go back and make another coat over the top of this one. So you can do as many coats of the gelatos as you need for making a darker color, or just leave it, kind of light and transparent. So just using the heat tool to dry it. And then I just went back in over the top and added more color. And this time I'm only coloring in over the text. So I'm leaving the margin lighter colored. And you'll see why here in a minute. So you can see that's much darker. And then we'll dry that coat. The heat tool just makes it much faster. And then going in one more time with some more color to make it just a little bit darker. So you can see how that's actually starting to look more like a night sky dark blue. Not black, but dark blue, like after sunset. And then I'm just going to clean that up. And then dry it one last time to make sure it's good and dry. And then the next step that I wanted to do is use some acrylic paint to make the margin a little bit lighter for the text and the images. So I'm just adding some acrylic glazing liquid to make the paint a little bit thinner. This is really good if you're using acrylic paint on top of the text to make it extra thin, so you can add more glazing liquid and then it'll be thinner and it won't obscure the text. And you can see I'm just using a paint card to apply the paint, just scraping it across the margin. I got a little heavy-handed with it at first, so I'm going to go back in and kind of scrape some of it away and wipe it off because I got a little bit too much. But it just makes for a nice thin paint coating on that margin, makes it a little bit brighter. And that paint technique would be very handy if you wanted to cover something up too. If you made a mistake and you just want to cover up the whole margin with paint and start over again, that works good for that too. Or just in this case, to make it a brighter background for the text. And maybe you don't do what I did and get too much paint. You can see that big blob of paint that's still left. I put way too much down. Really didn't need that much. You can see how pretty that turned out. And then I've got this Nature Silhouettes stamp set. It has a little bird. I'm gonna make it an eagle. I don't know what kind of bird it was really meant to be, but I'm going to stamp it and kind of turn it into an eagle. So I was just trying to decide which color brown would work better for the eagle. Since verse 29 says, "They will soar high on wings like eagles," I thought that would be appropriate for this page. So it looks good. So I went ahead and stamped it on the page, and it didn't quite adhere right, so I just kind of smudged it a little bit to make it better. And then once it's dry, then you'll see what I'm going to do to make it look more like an eagle and less like just a brown bird. So I've got an orange gel pen and then a white paint pen. So I'm taking the white paint pen and just I'm going to make some markings on the eagle's head and the tail to make it look more like an eagle. And then I use the orange gel pen just to make a little beak on the tip there. So now it looks more like an eagle. And the next thing we're going to do is add that "The Lord gives strength to the weak" stamp. And then I also chose the other stamp that says "He is worthy of all honor and praise." So I chose two different blue ink colors that I was trying to decide between, and then I just applied them to the index card there to test it out. So that's a great way to, if you can't decide which ink color to use, just test them on a little piece of paper. And then I chose the royal blue color. So I'm just stamping that "The Lord gives strength to the weak" stamp from verses 29 through 31. And then I added that "He is worthy of all honor and praise" stamp for verse 28. And then the next thing I wanted to do is add some stars, because if you look back at verse 26, it says, "Look up into the heavens, who created all the stars?" So I wanted to add some stars to make that night sky kind of pop. And the first thing I did was I actually put some gold stars in the margin. You can see they didn't show up very well against that white. The ink just wasn't bright enough. So after I stamp them, I am going to go back in and with the gold paint pen. But for now, I just added a few different little stars there, kind of in between the "Lord gives strength to the weak" and the "He is worthy of all honor and praise." So then I took my gold Una Posca paint pen and just went over the stars with it to make them show up better. Those paint pens are just so handy for things like this, for going over things that didn't quite stamp right, or things that you made a mistake on, things that need to be covered up. Paint pens and gel pens also can work really well for that. And then after I did those stars, I actually decided I didn't like those small stars as much, so I went looking for another stamp set. So this one has some bigger stars that I wanted to use for the rest of the page. And then I got some white ink to use on the blue part of the page, so it would show up pretty good. And I just kind of stamped in different spots throughout the page. So I turned it kind of upside down, or reversed it for that one. And then using a different one. And then just another one. And then just gonna put, stars all in different spots on the page. And then with this one last small star, I just went in and added a few more, just wherever it seemed like they would fit, or where there wasn't already a star. And then at that point, I decided I needed to move that stamp closer to the edge of the stamp block so I could get it right in the inside of the page there. And then the last thing that I wanted to do is stamp the stars in gold up above the eagle. And again, I'm going in with the gold paint pen to outline the stars so they'd show up better. And you notice there I got smudged some of the white ink with my hand. So there's another good lesson for you that sometimes I forget to put down an index card so I won't smudge something that I already did on the page. And then the last thing that I wanted to do is go in and outline all those verses all the way from verse 26 down to verse 31. And I'm just using the white paint pen for that. And it's worth mentioning that I also, after I stopped filming, I did go back in and go over the stars with the white paint pen also to make them show up brighter. And then lastly, I went in with the gold paint pen to underline verse 29. And now that that's done, I just tore off the protective deli paper that I used to protect the other pages. So then you can see the finished page. And there you have it. There's the finished page. The Lord gives strength to the weak. He is worthy of all honor and praise. And I'm living proof of that. Sometimes I don't know how I'm able to do what I do, how I'm able to find the strength every day, given my health struggles. But God gives me strength somehow, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this tutorial, be sure you're subscribed to my channel so you won't miss any of my future videos. And I'll see you next time. Bye.